Welcome, welcome. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the Canada Beef on the Menu workshop today, presented by Canada Beef. For those who may not know me, I'm Sabrina Falone. I'm event director for Taste Canada's Cooks the Books National Student Cooking Competition,
Yes.
also
I
proudly
don't know why it isn't
presented by
transferring.
Canada Beef. Um, so
Just gonna turn on your sound, I guess, if you love it.
We're just going to ask everybody to mute their mics upon entry into the event so that way we can keep going. Yeah, but again, thank you to everybody for joining us. We're thrilled to welcome so many student chefs today, culinary instructors, and industry professionals. So yeah, thank you for being here at Taste Canada. We're really proud to partner with industry leaders like Canada Beef to deliver learning opportunities that both inspire and inform. Through our educational awareness partnerships, we aim to share innovation, highlight trends, and offer practical solutions while fostering connections that bring real value to the work you do in the food industry. So today's workshop will enhance your understanding of the Canadian beef advantage, guide you through a training module designed to build knowledge and confidence in working with beef on the menu. You'll gain practical skills and resources to support your journey in the food service profession and enhance your development. Before we begin, just a couple of housekeeping items. Again, please keep your mics muted during the presentation. The session is being recorded, and I will share the link with everyone later this week so you can revisit any information and share it with others. We are going to start the session with a slideshow presentation, followed by a live synchronous learning experience, followed with a product demonstration and a brief Q&A if time allows. We're just going to ask everybody to mic upon entry. Thank you. Um, yeah, lastly, we encourage our students to stay for the full hour. If and when you do, your name will be entered into the draw for the Canada Beef swag bag, and winners will be contacted later this week. Yeah, so just a quick note also about an exciting opportunity from our partners at Canada Beef. The Canadian Beef Centre of Excellence administers a student award program with participating schools across Canada. Over $20,000 is awarded to top performing students in culinary and butchery programs from BC to PEI. So the Canada Beef Award for Excellence in Culinary and Butchery supports and encourages students' achievements and skill development in hospitality and meat cutting. So if you'd like more information, check with your school's financial aid office. And without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce Chef Mathieu Paré, Executive Director at the Canadian Beef Centre of Excellence in Calgary, Alberta. Chef Mathieu will be guiding us through today's workshop, sharing his vast expertise on Canadian beef, what makes it unique, and the finer details of beef grading. So he'll cover as much as possible in the next hour. And without further ado, Chef Mathieu, we hand it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chef Sabrina, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. We are broadcasting live from the Canadian Beef Centre of Excellence here in Calgary from our offices at Canada Beef. It is a real pleasure to have you, and we so much appreciate your time, your contribution, your interest in this understanding Canadian beef session. And I was thinking a little bit about our activity today. Last night, I take part in the Culinary Federation's local branch, and we were having a meeting, and that activity of engaging and connecting with our fellow chefs, our fellow chef instructors, educators, students, culinary professionals is really such an enriching experience. And I feel like this relationship and this partnership with Taste Canada and the Cooks the Books competition really benefits us all, including us here at Canada Beef. We work for the Canadian beef producers, and the presentation that I'm going to share today really highlights some of the key advantages of Canadian beef, the messaging around what we talk about when we say, what's great about Canadian beef. As a professional chef working in industry now for over 25 years, I've come to understand the importance of understanding and knowledge for product and an ability to train fellow kitchen members, staff, front of house staff on how to express what is special about the food products that we care for, that we care about. And as we understand, as food products become more costly, prices are going up, we need to be always better at handling the product and also speaking to its qualities. And so that's what we will focus on today in our session. And so as I mentioned, specifically focusing on the Canadian beef advantage quality attributes. So I'm going to share my presentation. That'll be the first part, a little bit of a brief introduction into who Canada Beef is, what we do in terms of providing resources to support that understanding of the Canadian beef advantage with a focus on grading today. And then we'll go into a synchronized learning environment. We have developed an amazing online learning resource. This resource benefits students, benefits professional users in industry, front of house, back of house, and even retail and butchers. And so we put a lot of time and effort into making an awesome, accessible, and for you free resource courses that you can access online. So we're going to do one of those courses together. You'll have a chance to work through the quizzes together. So this will be also an advantage for you to complete later to receive your certificate in the Certified Canadian Beef Training Program. So let's get underway here. I'm going to share my presentation and then we'll carry on with the program. We're going to be action-packed, fully loaded here with content right to the end and hopefully have some time for some questions. I'm going to share with sound, which is always important, and we will launch this presentation. A presentation called Beef on the Menu, Certified Training for Future Chefs. I am fully in the presentation now. So about Canada Beef quickly, for your understanding, Canada Beef is an organization. We are not for profit. We are funded by beef producers. We work on behalf of those Canadian beef producers to bring value to the product. Our programs offer market development and promotion across the country here in Canada, and also we support the value that is created for international market and export. Our team is roughly 30 people. We have folks all across the country, about 15 here in Canada, and the rest in other countries to support marketing demand in those areas. And proudly, Canada Beef has been in this business for 50 years continuous since 2023. So quite an achievement here supporting Canadian beef producers in this effort. Our focus on this conversation here today is really all around Canadian beef advantage. And I want to share this slide quickly as basically a destination for your learning. And so Canada Beef manages two website environments. One is aimed for consumers. It's called canadabeef.ca. And that website has all the information, recipes, everything for consumers. And this website that you see linked here at the bottom, that's CDN Beef Performs. That's our trade website. So you can see here one of our pages within that website, and it is all about the Canadian beef advantage. I highly suggest, if you have an interest in beef, and I think that you probably do, you are here learning with us today, dig into these resources. There's an absolute ton of stuff, and I'm going to cover just a touch, but probably what I believe to be the most important parts of the Canadian beef advantage, which is about our really excellent grading system and what that means in terms of value and quality and what that our understanding together as professional chefs. Briefly now, we will look at what makes Canadian beef great and how we can also differentiate and identify ourselves as a Canadian beef producing country, as a country that produces some of the best beef in the world. And I would say it has a lot to do with our cold climate, which is pretty handy because everybody understands that Canada is a cold country. And so how we can attach this unique attributes of Canadian beef quality with our cold climate really helps to resonate with people and also differentiate our product from competitors like our competitors in the US who produce also excellent beef, and also competitors from around the world, and who are now, we're seeing more imported beef into Canada. So this is really important information on how you can differentiate and reinforce the value message and the quality message around Canadian beef. Wide open spaces, fresh, clean air, an abundance of water. We have a cold climate that reduces the negative impacts of pests. And so every year that harsh cold that we enjoy here in Canada has an advantage to helping to reduce pests and nuisances for our Canadian beef herd, which encourages a healthy animal and also supports food safety and an excellent quality eating experience. That, along with our excellent grains. So Canada is one of the world's leading producers of high quality grains, and we feed our grains to the animals. We finish them on grain to increase eating enjoyment, marbling juiciness, tenderness, and flavor. We also are well known for our environmental stewardship and our commitment to managing lands properly. So Canadian beef producers are actually preserving rare and precious ecosystems by grazing our animals on these lands. They're supporting a healthy natural pasture, and so that the growth of that grass and supporting the health of those animals on those pastures, which is also beneficial to the environment and the other animals that need those precious resources, and the water that's being preserved, the land that's being preserved, the forests, all of these areas that are unsuitable for other crop production are supporting Canadian beef cattle production and also protecting these rare environments like our Canadian grasslands. At the most fundamental, I would say, in terms of the product, our understanding of the product would be the high quality breeds that we use here in Canada. And here, very closely connected with that cold climate message, the Bos Taurus genetics. Bos Taurus is, they are much different than the Bos Indicus genetics. The Bos Indicus, they survive, they thrive in a hot climate. Unfortunately, that type of cattle doesn't perform as well in terms of eating experience, doesn't have as good marbling, juiciness, and flavor and tenderness. The Bos Taurus genetics that originally came from Europe, well suited for our cold climate, including breeds like Angus, Simmental, Charolais, Hereford, Limousin, all of those best genetics in the Canadian cattle herd to maximize yield. So larger animals, larger muscles, consistent size and shape, but overall more flavor, more tenderness, and more juiciness from a type of animal that was developed and bred for beef production. And that is our advantage. Cold climate genetics, the Bos Taurus versus the inferior Bos Indicus genetics. And here in Canada, we are essentially all and only influenced by the Bos Taurus genetics. Currently, we could say that our cattle herd is roughly 2/3 made up of the Bos Taurus genetics known as, or the Angus breed and the Hereford breed. And so two very popular breeds in Canada for various reasons. Some are for production and absolutely for taste of quality of the product and the eating experience. I mentioned a little bit about our grain production, very important to the quality story in Canadian beef. We are exceptional in making high quality grains and feeding those grains to our animals to finish them, to increase that beautiful marbling, the juiciness and tenderness that we're known for. And so that not only improves quality of the product, but also actually helps reduce the amount of time that it takes to produce those animals and bring them to market. So 85% of our beef production actually fed on grains can reach a target weight for harvest within 16 to 24 months, which is a huge advantage in terms of environmental sustainability and also quality. Talking about quality and the grading system sets us apart. For those of you who are from other countries, from those of you who have traveled around the world and have tasted beef from other places, I mean, all beef is great, but the beef in Canada is graded. And graded is very important because it's a matter in which we can communicate quality advantage. How do we communicate with our customers in the industry? How do we communicate with our guests in our restaurants and our food service and our hospitality operations? We talk about the quality message. And here is a grading system that guarantees essentially an understanding around what is quality. Carcass maturity, animals must be young. 30 months and younger or maximum of 30 months of age is the maximum age that an animal that can qualify for the A grades, A, AA, AAA, and Canada Prime. So young animals, tender and delicious eating product experience. The fat and the meat color, we say we eat with our eyes first. When we look at product in a retail showcase or when we're receiving that product as professional chefs in the kitchen, we appreciate the beauty and the product experience. Some restaurants are actually having retail environments within where they have their own butcher shop. Red meat color, white color fat, those are quality attributes that we appreciate with our eyes, and our eyes eat first. Carcass muscling. With the carcass muscling, we have consistency. We have consistency in shape. My ribeye steak is going to be the same shape as your ribeye steak. This is very important when my father and I go out for dinner. If I get a bigger steak, it's not going to be a great experience. So consistency in those steaks is very important, and carcass muscling is a requirement. There's no deficiencies allowed in that either. And then finally, meat fat. Meat and fat texture. Meat and fat texture is important. Why? Because when we process our products, when we cut steaks, when we have that beautiful marbling, that structure that makes that resistance and that texture and that firmness, we get beautiful cuts, we get nice quality products, beautiful portions. Meat and fat texture is very important. Here's a quick look at the marbling standards and the quality grades and the breakout between which grades are performing and what is the current grade out currently in Canada Prime, Canada AAA, and AA, and in A. And what's interesting here, and I think it's even sometimes confusing, is that we see the A grade is at such a low percentage, but we understand from this that the Canadian beef producer is aiming to produce high quality beef. The market demand is for high quality beef, tenderness, juiciness, and flavor, whether it's for here, Canadian consumers or Canadian restaurant goers, they want tasty steaks. They go to the restaurant, what are they looking for? We're talking about AAA. AA has great performance, but even there you see 20% roughly. AAA, Canada AAA, and Canada Prime is the target. Canadian beef producers are producing that quality because that's where the demand is, and that's where we see the marbling. And the marbling is the key in terms of that eating experience, the tenderness, that juiciness, that flavor that I'm talking about. That is those fine flecks of fat, and that we're going to see in person in just a moment after we do our quick course on the grading system. So finally here, a couple more slides looking at the growth in Canadian AAA, the Canada AAA, and the Prime grades, Canada Prime. So if you can see this trajectory in commitment to quality, the genetics, the grain finishing systems, the continuous better understanding of how to produce high quality beef and also more efficiently. Here now you can see in that bar in the lower part, that yellow part of the graph, that's your Canada AAA and Canada Prime combined, continuous progress in terms of quality. Up just over top, you see that red bar, that's our AA. A little bit smaller percentage for sure and getting smaller all the time. And look at the line in the A grade, basically non-existent. We're not even going to show you an A grade steak today. It's very actually hard to find because it is just a target. It is not the target. We're looking for high quality tenderness, juiciness, and flavor in our beef. We're going to talk about our online training and we're going to launch into that training program. This has been created for you, professional users, chefs, educators, instructors, and also our students who are joining us today. Accessible online and free. It is the Canadian Beef Certified Training Program. We have 5 modules in food service. Here they are detailed. Now in these what we call the core modules. Once you complete these 5 core modules, access them online at the resources. I've got the link. You can access it later. It'll be in this presentation. And I'll show it to you in a second. Completion of these 5 modules gets you a certificate. You are then Canadian Beef Certified. Here's an example of a certificate that I achieved with the completion of all 5 modules. There are also optional modules. These are very interesting and exciting opportunities as well to reinforce your understanding of probably the most important part of our business is food safety and handling. Next up, I would say prepping and cooking. And then finally, in terms of a guest experience, what kind of beverages pair well with beef? You know, we're familiar with classic red wine pairing. That's an easy go-to. What other pairings are suitable? What kind of beers? What kind of non-alcoholic beverages pair well with beef? You will find this out in our beverage pairing course, which is module 8 in the optional modules. By completing optional modules, you'll then qualify for a certificate that has a beautiful gold star on the bottom. And so you've now successfully completed the Certified Canadian Beef Professional Program for food service, and you get that prepping and cooking certificate, the endorsement for that. So that's an additional value for you as a professional and a beautiful certificate for you to put up on your wall. We're going to look specifically at module 2, and you will go through all of these parts of it as we take that online training together here in a moment. And here is my contact information, which wraps up our presentation, so that if you need to contact me, please do. In terms of students, in terms of instructors, if you're interested in learning more or engaging with us here at the Center of Excellence, and if we can provide you with demonstrations or instructional webinars, we're happy to do that. And so please contact us for more information in that regard. All right, so next up, we're going to launch into the online learning training system. And to do that, I'm now sharing with you our website. This is our web page within our website. I indicated it before, CDN Beef Performs. That's our trade website. This web page within it, it is our launch site for all of the modules. The core modules listed here, module 1 on Canadian Beef Advantage. This is, I would say, the key to better understanding Canadian beef and the quality message. Module 2, we're about to do that together. Module 3, Here's another great one, primals and subprimals. Understand your carcass, the beef carcass, and understand the primal cuts that come from it, the subprimals and the portion cuts, and how to cook them properly. There's all kinds of ways and all kinds of exciting things to do with beef because you have various muscles, profiles, flavors, textures, aromas, colors. It is such an exciting product to work with. Module 4, farm to fork, understand the industry from cow-calf, feeding operation, processing, all of the value chain that brings you safe, high quality, nutritious Canadian beef. And finally, module 5 in the core is sustainability. Without sustainability, we don't have an industry, and the Canadian beef producers have been committed to supporting environmental practices from day one, 5 or more generations in Canada of commitment to environmental practices. Let's now get started. I'm going to show you just backing up here into module 2. I click this button. We're going to start learning today. It loads this presentation, which is a mini course online, and it's pretty easy to access, and it will load up for me here in a moment. There we go. We're at the beginning. There is also a feature I'll show you later if we have a time. I am now starting from the beginning. So let's check this out together, and I will towards the end of the course we'll have a brief presentation, which
Learners
is
may
our
pause any slide using the
our
button
quiz.
on the left
So
of the
please
progress
enjoy
bar
it.
below. This will ensure that you can digest the written information and take notes as desired. To return to the Certified Canadian Beef Training Program's food service homepage, please look for the Return Home link that can be found on most slides within each module. Welcome to Module 2, Beef Quality Grading. This module explores the different quality grades of Canadian beef, why grading is important, the grading process, and how it enhances consistency and the dining experience for the guest. Through a short video series, you will be able to gain knowledge on how to select beef in accordance with your quality requirements. You will also learn how best to prepare your beef dependent on the grade, maximizing guest experience and earning potential. By taking the short quiz at the end of the module, you will be able to test your knowledge and recap what you have learned. Good luck. The Canadian beef grading system is one of the most comprehensive in the world. Overseen by the Government of Canada and implemented by the Canadian Beef Grading Agency, this system ensures a consistent and trustworthy standard for beef quality across the country. When beef is graded, trained graders assess the entire carcass visually, looking for specific criteria. This rigorous evaluation results in the assignment of both a quality grade and a yield grade for carcasses graded Canada A or higher. These grades reflect characteristics such as marbling, texture, and color, which are integral to determining the eating quality of beef. Now, you might wonder why quality grading is so important. For one, it guarantees consistency. Consistency in grading ensures that a steak graded as Canada AAA in Vancouver will meet the same expectations as one in Toronto. Grading also gives us the tools to match the right product with the right occasion or budget. For instance, Canada Prime beef, with its abundant marbling, offers unparalleled juiciness and flavor. On the other hand, Canada AA is a leaner and more cost-effective option. Ultimately, the grading system empowers culinary professionals like you to make informed decisions about sourcing and using beef. It directly impacts the quality of the dishes you prepare and the satisfaction of your customers. If you were presented with these steak options, could you determine the quality grading of each of these 3 steaks? Let's take a closer look at the 3 main quality grades of Canadian beef. Canada Prime is the highest quality grade, known for its significant marbling, which enhances both tenderness and flavor. It is also the most expensive quality grade. Because of its marbling, Canada Prime beef offers enhanced juiciness and tenderness, ensuring a superior eating experience. Canada Prime is excellent for steaks and roasts, such as a rib roast. Relative to Canada Prime, Canada AAA offers a lower but still generous amount of marbling at a more affordable price point. Canada AAA beef features small to moderate marbling. Canada AAA is the most prevalent quality grade of beef and is best known by customers and food service professionals. It ensures that customers can enjoy an enhanced eating experience. It's versatile and well suited for most culinary applications, from grilling to roasting. Canada AA is an excellent choice for customers seeking leaner beef and/or more economical pricing. While it has reduced marbling, it delivers a satisfying dining experience when incorporated into suitable culinary applications. Canada AA is still an excellent choice for fast-fried cooking such as stir-fry. There are several characteristics that influence beef quality. The maturity of the animal is considered during the quality grading of beef. The animal's age and maturity influence the meat's texture, flavor, and tenderness. Younger animals may often produce more tender meat. Muscling or conformation also determines how much the carcass will yield. Well-muscled carcasses result in higher meat yields. The color, texture, and amount of fat influence both the yield and customer appeal. The thickness of external fat that covers the muscle affects cutability and yield. Meat color strongly affects the overall visual appeal. Perceived freshness.
Welcome to the virtual tour. By viewing this tour, you will learn about the process for grading beef carcasses. Grading in Canada is performed by the Canadian Beef Grading Agency, or CBGA, which has been accredited for this purpose by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. The objective of grading is to place carcasses into uniform groups of similar quality, yield, and value in accordance with national standards. This grouping facilitates marketing and production decisions and provides consumers with a consistent product. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you will find the information useful.
A carcass may be graded only after it has been inspected and has satisfied all food safety requirements. Quality and yield grades are assigned by a CBGA certified grader who must successfully complete a comprehensive training program and is regularly monitored. Grade assessment is performed for youthful animals, Maturity 1, as well as mature cattle from the breeding herd, Maturity 2. The attributes required to qualify for the D grades in carcasses assessed as mature include specifications for conformation or muscling, as well as fat color, texture, and coverage. Carcasses assessed as youthful are eligible for the Canada A, Canada AA, Canada AAA, and Canada Prime grades. A key consideration for these grades is the amount of marbling or intramuscular fat, along with meat color and texture. Muscling as well as characteristics of the fat are also assessed. Let's first take a look at quality grading. To assess maturity and qualify a carcass as youthful, an examination is conducted of the bone structure in the split carcass. The thoracic vertebrae are assessed to determine whether the cartilage is 50% or less in terms of ossification. Once cartilage is fully ossified, it becomes hard bone, which is seen in older animals. The lumbar and sacral vertebrae are also examined to determine how much hard bone is present. A younger age at harvest enhances tenderness, which significantly influences the overall eating experience. It is important to note that older animals, and especially those that are fed grain for a period of time before marketing, can also deliver great tasting beef. The quality attributes that follow are discussed in terms of the requirements for the Canada A, Canada AA, Canada AAA, and Canada Prime grades for youthful carcasses. A well-muscled side will provide high yields and permits more efficient fabrication into cuts. The carcass should have a rounded profile in the region of major muscles. Canada's high-quality grades do not permit carcasses with deficient muscling. The color is assessed after waiting for at least 10 minutes following cutting, or ribbing, between the 12th and 13th ribs. When oxygen is present, the exposed surface of the ribeye is said to bloom. A bright red color is required and is highly desirable in the meat case. Beef texture must be firm to meet the requirements for high-quality Canadian beef and is determined at the ribeye. Texture influences how the beef feels in the mouth during chewing and is an important contributor to eating quality and consumer satisfaction. As for the lean meat, fat texture must be firm to the touch. The composition of the animal's diet can influence the quality of the fat and ultimately the flavor it provides. The color of the fat is assessed over the carcass surface and for the newly cut fat surface around the ribeye. Yellow coloration, which may occur in animals that have consumed grass for an extended period of time, is not permitted in Canada's high-quality grades. A minimum of 2 millimeters of fat is required at the ribeye measurement location. An animal that has less than the required amount will very likely also have deficient marbling. Without the insulating effect that the fat provides, the carcass may cool too rapidly and meat quality issues may arise. To assess marbling, the ribeye is evaluated for the amount, size, and distribution of intramuscular fat deposits. Marbling in beef provides flavor and juiciness while also lubricating the teeth during chewing. Fat is naturally more tender than lean tissue, so well-marbled product requires less effort to cut or chew. Official photographic standards are utilized to ensure consistent and accurate assessment of marbling levels. The required amount of marbling varies for each high-quality grade. Canada harmonized its system of marbling standards with those utilized in the U.S. in 1996. The minimum marbling standards used for USDA Prime, slightly abundant, Choice, small, and Select, slight, are the same minimum standards used in Canada to segregate youthful quality carcasses into the Canada Prime, Canada AAA, and Canada AA grades, respectively. Now, we'll take a look at yield grading. When a carcass qualifies for Canada Prime or any of the Canada A grades, a prediction of retail cut yield percentage, an estimate of the amount of closely trimmed boneless retail cuts from the 4 primal cuts, round, loin, rib, and chuck, is made. In Canada, the highest yielding carcasses are assigned the Canada 1 yield grade. Yield grade is determined using a formula which considers the fat depth and ribeye dimensions at the grading site between the 12th and 13th rib. The length and width are measured at their maximum point and for width within the 2nd and 3rd quarter of the ribeye. The fat measurement is taken at a point 3/4 of the length of the ribeye from the split end. High-yielding carcasses deliver the most usable beef in addition to being the most efficient to produce on the farm. The Canadian beef industry is adopting the use of computer vision systems. This technology produces digital photographs of the ribeye and performs objective analysis of these images to assist with yield and quality assessment. Computer vision technology can enhance accuracy and consistency by making measurements more quickly than is possible using the human eye. The camera is placed over the ribeye and lasers are utilized to ensure it is accurately positioned. Ribbing of the carcass must be done in a manner that ensures a relatively smooth surface for optimal results during this step. The camera shroud is placed over the ribeye so that the light from the flash is consistent in its brightness and wavelength. Following capture of the image, it is analyzed by a series of algorithms to determine yield and quality-related parameters that can be measured from the ribeye surface. The screen then displays the results, along with the carcass identification number. If additional quality or defect information is required, it can be manually entered using the touchscreen. The information is then stored and can be used for production planning during fabrication, as well as feedback to cattle producers.
Thank you for your participation in this virtual tour. I hope you were able to learn more about the procedures and national standards used to assign both yield and quality grades. Through its contribution to product consistency and quality, our grading system continues to be an essential component of the Canadian beef advantage.
Canada's high-quality grades for beef from youthful maturity carcasses are Canada AA, Canada AAA, and Canada Prime. To assign these grades, a detailed assessment is made by a certified grader following chilling of the carcass. Attributes evaluated include maturity, sex, meat color, fat color, carcass muscling, fat coverage and texture, meat texture, and marbling level. Marbling is the star of the grading system, and the amount of marbling present in the meat determines the final quality grade of the carcass, after all other quality requirements are satisfied. The fine intramuscular fat contributes to beef's flavor, tenderness, and juiciness. During the cooking process, the fat melts into the meat, providing moisture, flavor, and tenderness, which contribute to the overall eating experience. As a food service professional, you will come across branded beef programs. As you have already learned, the distinguishing factor among top quality, graded beef is the amount of marbling. Some branded beef programs utilize the upper 2/3 of Canadian AAA beef, which has more prevalent marbling. This additional marbling ensures that this product is especially able to deliver flavor, juiciness, and tenderness with every bite. Branded beef programs in Canada help to increase consumer demand. Did you know that grain-fed beef is often prized for its superior marbling relative to grass-fed products? A diet rich in grains enhances the marbling and adds a unique, delicious flavor to the beef. Canada is one of the largest grain producers in the world. In the western provinces, farmers often grow crops of barley and wheat. In eastern Canada, the climate supports the growth of significant amounts of corn. Given the abundance of feed grains, Canada can supply beef from cattle, fed diets containing barley, wheat, and corn. Canada's feeding practices enable more than 85% of cattle raised for beef production to be harvested at 2 years of age or less. A younger age at harvest enhances tenderness and overall eating quality. Feeding corn, barley, and wheat grain contributes to well-marbled, flavorful, and tender Canadian beef with firm, white-colored fat.
Discover steakhouse quality with Canada Prime Grade Beef. Coveted for its abundant marbling, prime grade steaks and roasts are ever tender, juicy, and full of flavor. Canada Prime is the beef of choice to mark special occasions. Enjoy the Canadian quality advantage with Canada Prime Grade Beef. Canada AAA Grade Beef sets the standard for premium quality with value. Typically available at butchers and conventional grocers, the AAA grade has generous marbling for tender, juicy steaks and flavorful roasts. From your oven to the backyard grill, there's a Canada AAA cut of beef to suit any way you want to cook. Enjoy the Canadian quality advantage with Canada AAA Grade Beef. Canada AA Grade Beef is flavorful and budget conscious, with lighter marbling for those looking for leaner beef. It's well suited for smoking or stewing and benefits from marinades and seasonings. Try low heat roasting or slowly simmer for flavorful and tender results. Enjoy the Canadian quality advantage with Canada AA Grade Beef.
All right. I hope you're all paying attention because it's now time for a quiz. And I'd like to make this participatory. So let's use our chat feature here. And so everybody participating who's got access to the keyboard, we are going to ask you to help us determine the correct answer to the question. Now, beef grading in Canada is carried out by which agency? We have first option, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, or B, Canadian Beef Checkoff Agency, C, Canadian Beef Grading Agency, or D, Canadian Beef Research Agency. We'll put it out to the poll and then I will check this answer, which looks like I already have clicked as
So
correct.
Chef Mathieu, yeah.
Yes.
We have
All right.
several folks coming in with A.
A.
Mhm.
And on the previous question?
Mhm.
Okay, well, the answer on that one was C, the Canadian Beef Grading Agency. So mark that down in your notebooks, because when you take this course on your own time, you will have a chance to properly answer that question. I'm going to go to the next question, which I think I've already answered in our test run here this morning, but let's see what happens. I've got 4 possible question answers here, and which one of these is not a Canadian beef quality grade? So we had the chance to learn about all these grades, and we'll look at them a little bit more closely in a minute. But from your best guess here, audience, the one that is not a Canadian beef quality grade, is it Canada Prime, Canada Select, Canada AAA, or Canada AA? What's our best answer? Chef Sabrina.
We have a few option B
B.
coming in. Mhm.
Well, if you guessed B, you were correct. The upper
Well done.
grades of Canada A grades, that's the AA, the AAA, and the Canada Prime. Canada Select is not a Canadian beef quality grade. Next question. Some of the key characteristics that influence beef quality are maturity, meat color, fat coverage, and marbling. Is this true or false? Sabrina, what are we seeing?
Lots of true. A.
Lots of true. It is so true. Exactly. Yes. Those quality characteristics, maturity, meat color, fat coverage, and marbling are definitely key characteristics influencing our quality of Canadian beef. All right. Another one here. Grain feeding contributes to marbling, flavor, and tenderness. Is this true or false?
Resounding true.
Resounding true. Everyone's been paying attention. Good
That's
job,
right.
everybody.
Yeah.
That is correct. The answer is true.
Well done,
The
student
Canadian
chefs.
beef grading system is not just about assigning grades. It's about ensuring that every cut of beef meets a defined standard of quality to ensure consistency and consumer satisfaction. By understanding these grades and the factors that influence them, you are better equipped to make informed purchasing decisions.
Awesome job, everyone. So now you can see in our course here online, the platform is suggesting that we proceed on to module 3, easily clickable. That will launch the next course, the next module. When you do this on your own, I suggest start at module 1, do module 2, the one we just completed, then do 3 and continue on to 5, and then you will be Canadian beef certified. I'd like to just draw your attention to here. This is the completion criteria bar. Now that we've completed this, our bar here turned green. And so if for whatever reason you're looking at this bar and it's still red, there is this eyeball to give you more information. The eyeball that you click shows your completion status. And so now you can understand where you might still need to work on in terms of that course. So essentially, watch all of the videos, see every slide, listen to all of the audio, and score 100% on the quiz, and you have completed that module successfully. And then you can download your certificate. That's the other button here. Click this to download. It triggers the download. That's going to automatically send me a certificate into my download box. I can print it. I can put it in straight up onto my wall. And also the platform, because when you register, you put your email address into it so that we can ensure that you've completed the program, and then it will automatically email you a certificate as well. So you'll definitely get a certificate when you complete the program. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to bring out some product, and we're going to look at these examples here and see live, essentially, the product in 3 quality grades. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, here are 3 quality grades of Canadian beef, graded, just like you saw, essentially in the presentation. and I have the tools that the Canadian Beef Grading Agency uses to determine quality grades in our product. And now that we've had a chance to work our way through the Canadian Beef Advantage presentation, we've taken the course, the module on Canadian beef grading, and we can clearly see from our, I guess, your right to my right. Yeah, or yeah. So we've got the double A, I would say. So the fine flecks of fat that we're looking for in terms of that quality grade. Fine flecks of fat, which is marbling within the beef. And so we've also got the other quality attributes, beautiful white colored fat, as well as red meat color, cherry red meat color. So in top quality grades, Canada double A, Canada triple A, and Canada prime, there is no allowance for dark cutting or dark colored meat, the red meat, and there's no allowance for yellow fat color. So that really contributes to beauty in the product, beauty for a retail environment, showcasing these beautiful portion steaks to a guest at the supermarket or a customer at the supermarket, and then for you as a buyer, in your food service operation, looking for those quality attributes. That white color of fat not only is an indication of a beautiful color, but it's also an indication of a younger animal that's been grain fed, finished on grains, providing you with a more tender, juicy, flavorful product. And that color, that fat is mildly flavored. For any of you who've had a chance to eat beef from other countries, competing countries, whether it's Australia, Mexico, even the US, they have allowance for that yellow color, and that yellow color usually indicates older animals or a longer time spent eating grass, and therefore stronger, more pronounced sort of gamey flavors can be experienced. Canadian beef is well known around the world for having rich butteriness. It has a depth of flavor that really delivers in terms of quality eating, but also a mild flavor that people really appreciate, especially in countries where they're less familiar with high quality grain finished beef. Here in Canada, we happen to be, quite fortunate. We have such an abundance of resources. We have an abundance of beautiful wild places that support grazing and the grasslands that support the early development of the cattle, then the grain finishing, which finishes and develops that beautiful white color fat, awesome marbling. So we can work our way through here. I've got the tools that the grader would be using. And so we're going to assign our quality grades here together. And so I think we did it in the course. And I think together we are going to assign quality grades. I've got them pretty much lined up. I think you can pretty much, everyone can see what we're talking about here. A beautiful steak, lighter on marbling, beautiful red color, white color fat. I'm going to assign that the double A grade, the minimum marbling standard for that being slight. And so here we have a double A grade quality steak. Now we're looking at our middle ground here. More marbling, more fine flecks of fat. You can clearly see more fat in comparison to that, what we've established as double A on the left. Still beautiful white color fat on the outside, red color meat. But with that extra marbling, what are we going to do? We're going to assign that our triple A grade. And it matches our swatch here. You can see that clearly. More flecks of fat versus a little bit leaner steak here. Absolutely delicious beef, double A grade. We sometimes we're so spoiled. We have the awesome AAA. We've got AA. AA is an awesome eating experience. People who enjoy more intense, richer flavor, a little bit leaner cut of beef. We all have our own preferences. AA is an awesome and economical option. And so now the creme de la creme, let's say, when we're looking for that most tender, most juicy, most rich and sort of fulfilling steak experience, I'm going to say we're looking at a steak here with awesome marbling, beautiful fine flecks of fat. Also here showing awesome white color fat on the outside, red color meat, an awesome steak. You can actually see that firmness in the beef that we were talking about in our presentation and in our training, the firmness. So you can see the beauty and the color and the quality of the cut of these steaks. Beautiful cutting, beautiful portion, very consistent. And this is the result of that grain finishing, which brings that awesome marbling into these cuts of beef. And so here we have a beautiful strip loin steak showing prime quality attributes, meeting the minimum requirement, which is referred to as slightly abundant here in the grading system. Quickly, because I think we have maybe one more minute in the program, I think there was a mention about the upper 2/3 part of the AAA. And so those are the branded programs. So when a beef packer, so they buy high quality cattle from the producer, that they buy from the best producers. The best producers provide them with the best quality animals, which are going to produce the best quality beef within their range of what is basically, and as we saw in our statistics, a high abundance of AAA. Now that they have that abundance of AAA, they're looking at their inventory and they say, okay, so I've got the best of my AAA, and now I'm going to assess it within what is called the upper 2/3. And so now we have the modest part of the upper AAA. So this is another grading characteristic, another grading quality standard in terms of marbling, and this is modest. And this is another even higher grading standard within the AAA, which is referred to as moderate, increased marbling within the muscle. And so that is the upper 2/3 of the AAA quality, as you can see. And that's how programs that differentiate themselves within that AAA. So if AAA is what you're after, you're going to get a high quality steak, and that meets in terms of quality attributes in marbling. If you're looking for an elevated steak experience, but it's not quite in that super premium prime, you're looking at the upper 2/3 AAA, which has the marbling scores all its own. So that is what that now I hope helps understanding around the upper 2/3 branded programs. That essentially concludes our sort of formal presentation, and I would like to keep just a few minutes, if possible, to answer some questions. I hope that everyone has enjoyed the opportunity to learn with us, learn about the Canadian Beef Advantage, who Canada Beef is, the services that we provide for Canadian beef producers, and also for educators, and students. And as well, any questions around product utilization, the chat box is yours. Please fire away, and I'm available to help answer any questions. Thank you.
That was fantastic, Chef Mathieu. Thank you so much for sharing all of your expertise with us. I've had the privilege to sit in on many of these workshops over the last few years in our partnerships, and every time I take away something new and learn something that really is valuable for the work that we do. So thank you again. We have a question here, and they're asking, why is the ribeye specifically used to determine grading on the cow?
Why is the ribeye specifically used? It is the grading site. It is established that site, and I would be guessing, so I don't know that I would provide that answer. Yeah, it's actually a question I cannot answer. I don't know why they choose the grading site, the ribeye. My guess is that is a site that shows some of the highest marbling on the animal, which, now that I'm saying it, if we moved more forward on the carcass within the ribeye, we would see even more marbling. And in Canada, we grade between the 12th and the 13th rib site. In other grading systems, they take advantage of grading at a rib site that is further ahead on the carcass. And that's, for example, the Japanese grading system, where they grade further forward on the carcass, and in a way I think they have an advantage in showing more intense marbling that way. But for us, maybe back to the original question, much of what has been established in terms of grading, in terms of qualities, in terms of standards in our Canadian beef system has been established in alignment with our #1 trading partner, which is the US, who has a strong demand for Canadian beef because they enjoy a lot of high quality Canadian beef. And so our marketing efforts are quite aligned with making opportunities for Canadian beef in the US. So when we're talking about trade, our grading system is one that the US buyers can understand very well. Thanks for the interesting question.
So I think you just touched on it. We had a question come in that says, does Canada Beef keep its product in Canada exclusively, or is it sent out to other places? Which?
Yeah, absolutely. 50% of what is produced in Canada is bound for export markets. The population in Canada is quite small, and so our our production of high quality beef is in high demand in other countries all around the world, looking for these quality attributes that we're talking about. And so, you know, in terms of our business here in Canada, we are positioned amongst buyers of high quality Canadian beef that where there is strong demand in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's graded so well, right?
And the production, the producers, the understanding of our high quality environment, the water resources, the clean air. People have an understanding of Canada as a clean country that produces high quality, safe beef, and so therefore our beef is in demand, not only here in Canada but abroad. Great question.
So, yeah, very good question. Another question we have is, based on your understanding of the carcass and, you know, the different marbling that you'll find throughout the through the animal, what do you think would be the most complicated or most difficult cut to grade?
Grading occurs only at one place in the beef carcass, and so it's between the 12th and the 13th rib,
Right.
and muscles within the carcass will show various different quality attributes, but the grading that occurs on the animal happens at one site only.
And
so that quality grade carries throughout the entire carcass, but it is established at only one place.
Perfect. You just answered the next question as well, so we're good there. I think we have one more minute, so if there's one more or another question out there, type it in real quick and we'll see if we can squeeze it in.
I will suggest also, with one more minute, you know, the abundance of resources that Canada Beef has, I really strongly recommend everyone go to that CanadianBeefPerforms.ca website. There is so much information there. A lot of the questions that probably I couldn't answer here today, you could find out there. And new resources, videos, training. We've had this awesome new resource called the Story on Steak. So for instructors, students, anyone who wants to better understand the attributes of quality of eating experience and also preparation for various steak cuts, go to check out that resource, which is all video based, so very easy to access and also enjoy and understand. Go ahead if you have one more question.
I think that takes us to the end there, and you covered everything really, really well. And again, there's so many resources available from Canada Beef that our attendees are welcome to explore and discover. Yeah, again, Chef Mathieu, thank you so much for such an insightful session. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise and giving us a deeper understanding of the Canadian beef grading and beyond. It's been a pleasure to be here with you and everybody today. So, and a big thank you to our students and participants who joined us. So whether you're preparing for Cooks the Books or just wanting to sharpen your beef skills, we hope you found value in today's session. And I also want to recognize the culinary and butchery instructors who are working across Canada to nurture the next generation of the food industry professionals. Your commitment to education is truly remarkable, and we're all so grateful for the really important work that you do and your valuable partnership with Taste Canada and Canada Beef. Before we wrap up real quick, I just want to remind everybody that today's session, for all the students who attended and stayed on for the whole hour, you're going to get entered into the draw for the classrooms that had multiple folks joining us. Please, I'm going to ask your instructors by end of day, if you have the time, to email me a list of all the students who were in your class, so that way I can enter everybody into the draw. We will draw at random and share the winners via email by the end of the week. And that concludes our session today. So again, on behalf of myself, Taste Canada, Canada Beef, thank you to everybody for taking the time to be here today. We really do appreciate your partnership and your time. Keep an eye out for the recording. I will send that around so you can revisit it, share with your peers, and continue the learning journey. So all the best. We look forward to welcoming many of you in Toronto at Cooks the Books and the Taste Canada Awards soiree. And yeah, to everybody competing, good luck, bon chance, and thank you again to everybody for being here today.
Thanks so much. Merci. Au
Thank
revoir.
you.
Bye-bye.